In my last Gilmore Girls video, I made some jokes about how Dean should just get with Lorelai, and some of the comments said that that was something parts of the show's fan base thought as well. After reading those comments, I realized something. I've never read a fanfic before. I've heard so much about them, but the closest thing I've ever come to seeing one was the Iron Man and Captain America fan art that came out after the 2012 Avengers movie. So I thought, why not document my first time on my YouTube channel? So I scoured the internet looking for stories about Dean and Lorelai where Dean is of legal age, and I found one. It's called Dean Can See Her Face. It has 37 chapters. The story seems to take place in season 4, around when the inn is still being constructed, and Dean is apparently 19, according to the story. Personally, when it comes to age gap stories, I prefer the whole I'm a college graduate coming home to claim my prize. But whatever, let's get into the story. Chapter 1 begins with both characters staying up at night, thinking about each other. Dean believes that he got caught staring during the day, and Lorelai is up pondering her current relationship with Jason. What a guy he is. It has some weird sweat imagery. Apparently he sweats when he's around her. I'll read you an example. The sweating, the staring. Surely she noticed. Her daughter's loser ex-boyfriend working at the inn, leering at her like a creep. The tight black skirt, tight black cardigan, those perfect pectoralis majors. How could one escape the allure of Lorelai's clavage and that low-cut cream blouse, piercing blue eyes behind naughty librarian glasses? Why was it she so seldomly wore glasses? Shimmering, sinful lips, velvety black hair that made her flawless fair skin stand out. What was she wearing when Lorelai told Dean that just because he and Rory weren't together didn't mean they couldn't still be friends? More than friends. Stupid Dean. Get some sleep. So yeah, Buddy is fantasizing. He's fantasizing about her sinful lips. He's fantasizing about her majors. Yeah, isn't that great? And then we cut to what Lorelai's thinking about. She had seen Dean sweep Rory into his arms when she was bereaved. And Lorelai wanted someone like Luke, like Dean, to envelop her in their warm, muscular arms. Black. She needed sleep. A fiery blush rushed to her cheek when she thought about bumping into Dean at work later today. Grow up, Lorelai. She squeezed a pillow to her face. Sleep would calm these nutty thoughts. Nutty thoughts, eh? Alright, so chapter 2 has the first steamy moment. Lorelai and Dean bump into each other. She accidentally spills coffee on him. He has to take off his shirt, and she notices his muscular, tall build that she's never noticed before. And Dean feels less like a creep now because now she's staring today, so it all evens out. Now Suki catches her staring during this encounter and confronts her about it. Okay, you are currently seeing Jason. Go on a date with Jason. Forget about Dean. The paragraph I'll share with you in this section is the last one. Driving to meet Jason at the restaurant, Lorelai couldn't stop picturing a shirtless Dean in the foyer, on the front path, in the kitchen. When did he fill out? He did not look like that when he dated Rory. He's a man, a handsome, tall, chiseled man who listens to the Go-Go's. Was that her influence? Did Dean think about her? What was she thinking? I'm on my way to meet my boyfriend for dinner. We'll exchange barbs, and it's gonna end with a heated, passionate coitus back at his place. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I do not see Jason having heated, passionate anything. He seems like the type of guy who would moan and complain the entire 48 seconds. You wouldn't hear the end of it. But I digress. So in chapter 3, Lorelai goes on a date with Jason, but is thinking about Dean the entire time. Meanwhile, Dean is having a whack moment. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second, but let me read his inner dialogue first. My life is so lame. I'm dreaming about a fake relationship with a woman who would never date me. She apparently has some rich boyfriend who attends Friday night dinners. For all I know, they're going to get engaged. That guy's going to have a life with this amazing, smart, cool goddess, and he probably doesn't appreciate her the way I do. Does he know how she likes her pizza, tacos, brownie sundaes? Does he listen to music from different genres and decades? Does he like the Bangles? Would he camp out in Dublin waiting to see Bono? I would camp out with her for as long as it took for her to meet Bono. I need to go for a run. Okay, now watch this clip.
Hair, doesn't even like to smile. Whack. Me, I'm tight.
What's the difference? Later on, Lorelai heads home. The two encounter each other as Dean runs past her house. They talk briefly about nothing, and the chapter ends just as well as the last one. He ran away from the prettiest woman in Stars Hollow, but not before taking a mental picture of those legs in hot pink heels and some scandalous-looking hot pink leather dress peeking out from her unbuttoned coat, while she scrambled inside, hoping he wouldn't see the difficulty she experienced walking away from his toned, athletic build, obvious through the thin layer of polyester blue he was sporting. Lorelai checking out his behind. Oh my God, what was she thinking? His broad shoulders, and sighed against the door once inside. Jesus, Gilmore, you aren't 16. This isn't sweet. Sweet 16, gotta spread my wings. Remember that show? Good times. Rich kids flexing on us. That's literally all that show was. Alright, chapter 4, I'm just gonna start with the opening dialogue. Hey Lorelai, Tom said the crown molding was loose in room 4. Yeah, let me show you what needs to be fixed. He followed her up the stairs, appreciating the view and forcing his hands to remain in his pocket. Lorelai hopped up on the bare mattress and showed him the loose ceiling molding above the headboard. Again, it was damn hard to look at the molding instead of her shapely behind in those jeans. That lavender sweater snug against her majors. The fire alarm could have blared and he wouldn't have been aware. What he needed was a cold shower from the sprinkler system. Was the radiator blasting in here? He couldn't believe this luck when she tripped towards him and her chest crashed into his face as his arms fell around her legs to steady her. And now her behind was resting in his hands. Slowly, reluctantly, he released her, and she slid down his body to the floor. What is he, a fireman's pole? He leaned forward to kiss her. Beep, beep, beep. That's right, it was all a dream. Jason breaks up with Lorelai, and Luke shows up at the end with flowers to comfort her. Dean, of course, gets jealous and decides to comfort her himself. They decide to talk to each other as friends, of course. I'll just read you the rest. Hey, what's wrong? Dean squatted down facing Lorelai, placing a hand on her bare knee. Yikes, his giant hand is touching my knee, and now my stomach is fluttery, and I feel tingly. Sweet Jesus, she's wearing another low-cut dress, and now I'm staring at her exposed curves under her majors, and this is bad. Okay, he's staring at my majors, and I like it, and I cannot handle this on top of everything else today. Danger, Will Robinson. His hand fell away as she rose, and he kept his gaze to the ground, remaining in a squatted position, because he couldn't bear the thought of her seeing him, bricked up, or the crimson wave washing across his face. I know that's a big fear for guys, for people to notice when you're bricked up, but like, I've never seen someone notice someone else be bricked up, ever. I guess we're just really good at hiding it. But anyways, the chapter ends with Lorelai leaving for the diner. Chapter 5 begins with establishing that Luke is actually also into Lorelai as she stops by for coffee. That's right, we have competition. Luke set the plate down in front of a calmer Lorelai. She was no longer flushed. He casually glanced around the diner to keep his eyes busy. She looked almost angelic in her white plated sundress. Luke couldn't help but see her majors, partially covered by the white fabric and partially uncovered, teasing his eyes and making him think dirty thoughts when he looked at her. This is fun. I like this. Meanwhile, Lorelai's thinking of Dean. Last week, unbearable, sitting next to him at the movie house. Why did he have to be sitting on the red couch? Handsome, alone. He saw her, and it would have been too weird to sit in a chair behind him, since the place was empty if you didn't count Kirk. And why would you count Kirk? Torture. Damn. Kirk out here catching strays. This is crazy. And that's it for this chapter. She pretty much just goes home and goes to sleep after this. This chapter did make Luke seem very sexist though. Like he talks about how all women are gold diggers and gardening tools with tramp stamps, except Lorelai. Lorelai's different. It's weird dialogue, definitely written to make us not like Luke. Unless that is how Luke is on the show, which I don't think so. Chapter 6 begins with Rory visiting from university. They're all at the inn. Tom tells Dean to go meet a girl in his spare time, so Dean's inner dialogue responds with, the girl he wanted was a mere 40 feet away, arranging books in a library. turning his blood into hot lava as she wiggled her behind, trying to scoot the antique ladder down the railing. She was hypnotic. Unfortunately, Rory catches him staring, and like the troublemaker she is, decides to snitch. I don't know if I should tell you this, because it might make things weird, and maybe it wasn't anything, but just now, when you were on the ladder arranging books, I swear I caught Dean staring at your behind. Rory, it's nothing. Sometimes boys check out women's behinds. No, Mom, he wasn't a boy checking you out. I saw a man staring at a woman with the intensity of... And it gets interrupted by Taylor. In Chapter 7, Lorelai decides it's time to talk to Dean. They agreed to meet in Dean's apartment in 20 minutes because his roommate isn't there. When Lorelai arrives, they sit next to each other on the couch, and she begins the conversation by saying she appreciates their friendship. Just gonna rip the band-aid off here. I have these feelings for you, or some sort of reaction to you when we're in the same room. Maybe it's all the time we've spent together over the years. And right now, looking at you, I see this handsome man who makes me laugh and makes me feel comfortable. And I treasure our friendship. I don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells around you, because you don't deserve it. And Dean responds with, Lorelai, you're an amazing person, wickedly intelligent, and I think you're really beautiful. Then Lorelai says, Dean, I've just broken up with Jason, and I think that for now, we should put a little more distance between us. Lorelai, I don't want distance from you. I'm not stupid. I know the situation is fraught with seemingly impossible hurdles, but I have to be honest here. You're all I think about. What I'm trying to say is that it isn't merely physical attraction for me. Just don't brush me off as some overexcited teenage cretin. I'll be 20 in August. Lorelai was scared now, because the air had inescapable sexual tension. This talk hadn't helped with anything except for making her supremely uncomfortable. And after what Dean just said, she knew she had fallen for him. I have to get back to the inn. Lorelai was rising to her feet, when suddenly Dean's fingers laced through her fingers. He pulled her to him, and he bent down, kissing her on the lips. Only took 7 chapters, but now it's getting real good. Chapter 8. Whoa! Dean caught Lorelai in his arms as he laid her on the couch. Lorelai, are you with me? Come on, open your eyes. His voice was husky, quiet but strong, and Lorelai felt a crimson flush, acknowledging the magnitude of that kiss. My kiss made her faint? Yeah, his kiss made her faint? Was it laced with something? They continue kissing, pulling each other closer, and Dean gets bricked up again. And Lorelai thinks, holy schmackerel, Dean Forrester was a majestic kisser. He belonged in a romance novel with these talents. He was unashamed gazing at her now, with a beautiful rosy flush to her skin, her eyes conveying excitement, disbelief, desire, her belly button exposed because her shirt was untucked, and the low-slung pants weren't going to hide it. She is perfect. Oh wow, I felt that a little bit. I felt that. She is perfect. I like that. Lorelai comes up with an excuse to leave, and Dean says, Lorelai, this has been one of the best talks I've ever had with anyone, and I'm not ready for this moment to end. Can we meet for dinner later? I'll find a restaurant far from here. She says yes to dinner. They walk to the door, Lorelai in a haze from his scent. She gave Dean a swift slap on the buttocks and said in her bedroom voice, wear these jeans to dinner. Only if you wear those high heels tonight. Only wear those high heels tonight. Dean practically commanded and shut the door. Lorelai tripped. He knocked her off for the game. What? This is gonna be a bumpy ride. Dirty. Can a woman, just thinking about a guy? That's a good question. Meanwhile, Dean is thinking that slap made him instantly bricked up again. She didn't see it, thankfully, as she bounced her perfect little thought behind, down the hall in those heels. He had to train his wiener out of what was apparently a second round of puberty. Impromptu stiffies would not impress Lorelai Gilmore. She needed to see him as a man, not sometimes a man, sometimes a overly excited teenager. In Chapter 9, nothing happens except Rory thinks her mom is acting suspicious, and Dean picks a place for him and Lorelai to have dinner. I'm not going to be reading any of that because that's not why we're here. Well, it's not why I'm here. If you're still here, that's crazy. Chapter 10 starts with Dean getting ready for their date. Dean wore the blue jeans, a fitted olive t-shirt, and a mocha linen blazer that his ex-girlfriend Lindsay insisted he buy. He had almost proposed to her. Why? Lindsay was nice, and she loved him, but he didn't love her back. Not enough to marry her anyway. So that means that in this universe, in this world, Dean and Lindsay never get married, so there's no cheating scandal. Anyways, they both get to the restaurant, and his eyes meet hers the second she stepped through the door. Dean looked about 15 years older. Maybe this newfound confidence, mixed with his Paul Bunyan lumberjack height. She's really obsessed with his height. Damn, his muscular build, that blazer, the fact that he hadn't shaved in a few days. He has my number. I can't hide from those eyes. Meanwhile, Dean is thinking, oh my god. Lorelai was looking at him, smiling, shyly, wearing shiny, wet-looking leather pants, clinging to those impossibly long legs, accentuated by those sinful green heels. What is sinful about them? Goddamn. And the gauzy emerald off-the-shoulder blouse. Soft curls fell to her collarbone. She was breathtaking. He greets her with a kiss on her cheek, and they hurry over to their corner booth. She was finding it hard to concentrate with him sitting so close, smelling of Irish spring soap. Good man. No Drakkar, Old Spice, Polo, or any nostril-assaulting scent. Lorelai was picturing him buck naked in the shower, using those muscular hands on his body. On her body, after a hard day's work, lifting and sawing things. Meanwhile, in Dean's mind, I want to know you better. Know what your skin feels like when it's hot. How you taste. I want to forget dinner and take you in my truck. Whoa. Lorelai asks him, how long have you had that Go-Go CD in your truck? I picked it up at the used record store the day I started working at the inn. Was looking for new music, saw that at the bin, thought of you and I bought it. I like it. Those songs are catchy. Wow, incredibly sweet. He was thinking of me. Impulsively, Lorelai leaned over and kissed Dean. Intuitively, Dean embraced her, and when the kiss ended, they rested their heads together, sensing the smiles on the other person's face. The last line reminded me of that forehead touch perspective meme. Dean puts his hand on her leg, and Lorelai thinks, what is happening here? What does this mean? His hand on my quad. His hand is traveling up and down my quad. Are those strong fingers going to find their way between my quads? I'm having a great time. Two of them get up and dance while thinking dirty thoughts. I think I'm in love with Lorelai Gilmore. Her hair feels and smells so good. Her body pressed against me is melting my brain. I want the people to disappear. Our clothes to disappear. I want to be with her. A hand steadied her face, and Dean kissed her with a strength she wasn't sure she could handle. Lorelai starts getting cold feet, probably because all her blood is rushing somewhere else, eh? Anyways, they leave the restaurant, and Dean offers to drive her home since she's drank a little. She reluctantly agreed, and Dean opened the door for her, but not before catching her waist in his hands so he could kiss her again. And this time, his hand slid down her leg and curled back, squeezing her bum-bum. Make that squeezing her bum-bum into him. There was no mistaking what was happening down there. Damn, he is popping a stiffy for me, and I'm damp and quivering. Lorelai's tongue shot into his mouth. Okay, and she hungrily sucked on his lips and gripped his imposing shoulders to steady herself. Well, alright then. Dean lets her know that he's not happy the night is ending, while Lorelai is simply, happily stunned. That felt good. Her gluteus maximus, tight but juicy. And she didn't need me in the groin. She wants this too. That breathless sound she made. But the ball's in her court. I won't be the one to force this to happen. That is the end of chapter 10, and as far as I'm going right now. But honest opinion, I see why people like this stuff. It's funny. There's clearly a lot of hard work put into it to really lessen the amount of imagination you gotta put in. And there's some parts in here that made me go, wow, this was fun. For now, I don't regret making this. Thank you for watching. Bye.